if you've ever been on the receiving end of criticism, you'll know that criticism can sting. It really strikes at the heart of our own identity. And sometimes, even when we know that someone is being critical of everyone and it may be nothing about us, it's all about them, what's going on for them, it can still be a little bit unsettling. So this month's article is really about how to help you be more resilient in the face of criticism, but to also make the most of criticism. Because as Hillary Clinton once said, criticism can be difficult, but it can also be valuable. And so we have to learn not to take it personally. I know myself, I don't like criticism. I got to tell you, I really dislike it. Even when people say things I think they're completely unfounded, I still don't like it. And you know why? It's because I like to be liked. And my guess is that you also like to be liked. Maybe you're not a complete people pleaser, but as human beings, we are wired to want to belong, to want to fit in, to want to be liked. And so when people criticize us, we take it to heart, even when we know we shouldn't take it to heart. So before you get really down on yourself next time somebody maybe directs a little bit of criticism, even if it's said with the very best of intentions, and even if they tell you not to take it personally, I invite you to ask the questions that I've written about in the article this month. One of them obviously being, is this criticism founded in anything reasonable? Does it hold anything that is actually relevant and valuable for me? Because, you know, some people can be very critical, but sometimes what they have to say really does have a useful insight or a bit of feedback in it that you can take and you can use to do better, to be better at something, to fine-tune what your offering is, to stop doing something that maybe is actually sabotaging your success and you're not even aware of it. So just be mindful that, you know, not all criticism is worth taking on, not all criticism, some of it we should just take with a grain of salt, but to be discerning, because while not all criticism is created equally, even within criticism that we feel has been leveled at us very harshly, there's often a little insight in there. There's a gem in there that actually can be valuable to us. Secondly, be careful not to over-personalize criticism. You may have done something or said something or failed to have done something that someone is critical of. And maybe, yes, they have a right to be critical of you because it didn't serve you and it didn't serve others. Maybe it caused some damage, maybe it damaged trust in some way. But don't take it as a personal and permanent deficiency on your part. So you made a mistake, so you failed to live up to expectations, so you failed to do something that people expected of you, or maybe that you even expected of yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't work on it. It doesn't mean that you can't do better in the future. Really distinguish who you are as a human being, your own innate worthiness, with the actions or the inactions that you've taken. So just be really careful there not to over-personalize it. It may actually be a legitimate criticism, but that doesn't mean that you aren't worthy. Maybe you failed at something. It doesn't mean you're a failure. So certainly don't take anything on as being descriptive of who you are. It's descriptive of the behaviours that you took, or something that you said or didn't say. Thirdly, just be mindful that when people give you criticism, while some people are critical of everyone and they can fire off advice for everybody on what they should be doing better, it may be actually the person who gave you the criticism really took a lot of courage and went out on a limb to do so. Don't slam them down. In fact, sometimes a really, really valuable thing is to thank them and say, I really appreciate that you've taken the time to give me this feedback. It's difficult for me to hear, but I appreciate that you have put yourself out there, and I trust that you've done that for my best interest, that you're trying to help me in some way. So I want to thank you for that. If you slam everybody who gives you critical feedback, or sometimes constructive feedback, then they won't ever give it to you in the future, and you can end up being stuck in a silo. So you want to have people around you who feel comfortable and safe giving you feedback. Now, I'm not saying you thank every critic, because obviously there are plenty of critics out there you don't want to thank, but there are people in your life that you want to thank when they have had the courage and the character to give you that feedback. And last, just be mindful as you take on the feedback. What can you do differently so that you don't find yourself in the same situation 1 month from now, 1 year from now? just distinguish out, okay, what is actionable here? What is it that I can commit to do differently so that in the future I'll do a better job? So in the future I won't be in the same place having people feel the same way about the actions I've taken. You know, criticism can be invaluable, and while it can be painful and difficult to take on, you don't want to miss out on the value that it holds for you. And maybe the learning is a higher order learning for you. It's not actually what they're specifically giving you the criticism about. Maybe it's something even bigger than that. But I just encourage you, don't block yourself out to criticism, but also don't take it on as an indication that you are deficient in some way. All of us are fallible. We all make mistakes, and every single one of us, no matter how good we are at what we do, we can always get better. On that note, I welcome any feedback that you may have for me because, hey, I know I can get better too. So if you can find any faults with this video, I know I've made it at home, bring them on, because you know what? I know that what you have to say will have something in it of value for me. And I encourage you to invite the people in your world, in your business, in your life, to give you feedback as well, because that's how you get better. Not from everyone telling you you're brilliant, but I'm telling you how you can become even more brilliant than you already are. Take care.